When the building first started whispering, no one reported it. People noticed things, of course. They always did. The elevator stopping on floors no one pressed. Footsteps in the stairwell at night when the cameras showed nothing. The way voices sometimes carried too clearly through walls that were supposed to be thick with concrete and age. But noticing wasn't the same as admitting. And admitting would have meant answering questions no one wanted to ask. The building was called Marrow House, a 12-story apartment complex wedged between a shuttered grocery store and a parking garage downtown. It had been built in the early 2000s, back when developers still pretended they cared about community. By the time the whispering started, Marrow House was already tired, paint peeling in long strips, hallway lights flickering like they were deciding whether to stay on at all. People came and went, the building stayed. Until it started remembering them. Lena Ortiz moved into apartment 804 3 weeks after her father died. She didn't choose Marrow House because she liked it. She chose it because it was cheap, close to work, and didn't ask questions. The leasing agent barely looked up when Lena signed the papers, just slid the keys across the counter and said, "Walls are thin. Try not to take it personally." Lena nodded. She was already tired of taking things personally. The apartment itself was small but clean. One bedroom, narrow kitchen, windows that overlooked an alley where rainwater pooled and never fully dried. The kind of place meant to be temporary, even if people stayed longer than they planned. The first night, Lena lay awake on her mattress, staring at the ceiling, listening to the building settle. Pipes knocked, air vents sighed. Then, very clearly, she heard her name. Lena. She sat up so fast her neck hurt. The voice wasn't loud. It didn't sound threatening. If anything, it sounded familiar, like someone calling to her from another room. "Hello," she said. Silence. She told herself it was exhaustion, grief, the mind filling in gaps when it didn't know what to do with quiet. Still, she slept with the light on. By the end of the first week, Lena realized she wasn't imagining things. The building said her name often. Sometimes it was late at night, drifting through the walls like a half-remembered dream. Other times it came from the hallway when she was unlocking her door, soft and almost apologetic. Lena. She started keeping track. It never happened when other people were around. Never when the TV was on. Never when she was on the phone. Only in moments of stillness. Only when she was alone. She met her neighbors slowly. Across the hall was Mr. Han, an elderly man who smelled faintly of tea and antiseptic. He nodded at her politely, but never spoke unless spoken to. Down the hall lived Rachel, a nurse who worked night shifts and slept through most days. Rachel had dark circles under her eyes and a laugh that sounded like it surprised even her. On the 10th floor was Caleb, a graduate student who complained constantly about the Wi-Fi and always wore headphones, even when talking to people. None of them mentioned the whispering. Lena didn't either. The building didn't just say names. It learned routines. The elevator doors opened faster for some people than others. Hallway lights turned on just before footsteps reached them. The radiator in Lena's apartment clicked to life when she came home from work, even if the heat wasn't scheduled to be on. Once, when she dropped her keys in the stairwell, the light flickered twice, as if pointing them out. "Thank you," she muttered before she could stop herself. The building hummed softly in response. The first time Lena heard someone else's name, she was doing laundry in the basement. The machines rattled loudly, drowning out most other sounds. She was halfway through folding when the lights dimmed. Then a voice, clearer than any before, echoed through the room. "Rachel." Lena froze. The word didn't come from the machines or the vents. It came from everywhere at once, layered and overlapping, like the building itself was speaking. Rachel wasn't there. Lena ran upstairs, heart pounding, and knocked on Rachel's door until it opened. "Did you just call me?" Lena asked, breathless. Rachel frowned. "No, I just woke up." They stared at each other. Neither of them laughed. People started disappearing. Not dramatically, no police tape, no sirens. Just empty apartments. Mr. Han was the first. His door stayed closed for days, then weeks. The smell of tea faded. Management eventually cleared the unit and said he'd moved to be closer to family. No one asked which family. After that, a woman on the 3rd floor, then a couple on the 11th. Always quiet, always clean. The building absorbed the empty spaces easily. The whispering changed after that. It wasn't just names anymore. Sometimes it was phrases. You left the stove on. Don't forget your phone. Stay. That last one came often. Too often. Lena dreamed of her father. In the dreams, he was always standing in a hallway, doors stretching endlessly behind him. He never moved closer, no matter how fast she ran. Lena, he would say gently, I can hear you. She always woke up crying. One night, as she sat on the edge of her bed, the building whispered again. This time, it used his voice. Her breath caught painfully in her chest. No, she said, you don't get to do that. The walls creaked, settling. I remember him, the building whispered. Rachel disappeared on a Tuesday. Lena noticed because Rachel's alarm kept going off through the wall, soft beeping that never stopped. By the 3rd day, Lena knocked. No answer. Management said Rachel had transferred hospitals. Lena didn't believe them. That night, she heard Rachel's name whispered over and over in the vents. Like the building was practicing. Caleb was the one who finally said it out loud. The building listens, he told Lena in the stairwell, eyes darting toward the cameras. And it remembers. She stared at him. You hear it too. He laughed weakly. You don't survive grad school without learning when to pretend you don't. They sat on the stairs, whispering like children. Caleb told her he'd started recording audio at night. Most of it was static, but sometimes, the recordings played back things he hadn't heard in the moment. Full conversations. His name spoken gently. Like a promise. The building wanted attention. That much became clear. When tenants ignored it, things broke. Lights burned out, pipes burst. When people spoke to it, thanked it, answered it, their lives became easier. Doors unlocked smoothly. Lost items reappeared. Comfort in exchange for acknowledgement. Lena hated how tempting that was. Caleb disappeared a week later. His apartment was empty within hours. That night, Lena heard his voice whispering from the walls, muffled and distant. Don't forget me. She pressed her palms against the drywall, tears streaming down her face. I won't, she said. The building sighed. Satisfied. The truth came slowly, the way dangerous truths always do. The building wasn't haunted. It was hungry. It learned people by listening, names first, then habits, then memories. It fed on attention, on being acknowledged. When someone gave it enough of themselves, it kept them. Not their bodies. Just the parts that spoke. The rest faded quietly. Lena tried to leave. The elevator stopped working. The stairwell doors locked. Her phone lost service inside the building. That night, the whispering grew louder than ever. You belong here, the building said, using a dozen familiar voices. We remember you. Lena screamed. The sound echoed beautifully. In the end, she understood the rule. The building only took those who answered. So Lena stopped. She stopped speaking to it, stopped reacting, stopped saying her own name aloud. She packed silently. The whispers grew desperate. Lena. Please. I can hear you. She didn't respond. On her last night, as she stood at the door, keys in hand, the building spoke one final time. Not in a whisper, but in her own voice. If you leave, it said, we will forget you. Lena paused. The silence stretched. Then she opened the door and stepped out. Marrow House still stands. People still move in. Sometimes, late at night, tenants hear names whispered through the walls. Sometimes those names answer. Sometimes they don't. And the building remembers the difference.